Remember that time that elk you killed Chuck in Montana, that world record? Remember that? That was awesome. But no, seriously, Chuck, we'll probably make it tough on you because I've been bragging every time I've ever had the opportunity, like social media and stuff. I've always talked about how, there is no doubt you were my hero. I know Nick and Tbone, we're all in that same age bracket, generation wise. That there's so many here at ATA, man. You inspire so many of us to where not only are you doing things that, to be honest, being a kid from Book Bottom, Georgia, I didn't even know you could go hunting. Tbone touched on that. Didn't even know you could go to Kodiak Island or go hunt a brown bear with a bow or musk ox, you name it. I mean, Chuck's been there first to get the Super Slam and the Grand Slam. And so when it was all said and done, the one thing I always admired was the fact that not only doing this stuff that I thought was not humanly possible to do with a bow and arrow, but you was always smiling. But yet, I remember the first time I met you was at a trade show. You wouldn't remember this. I met you through my career at Realtree and run the camera. But I shook your hand and you smiled and you gave me the time. And I left and I'm like, heck yeah, I met the guy that he was what I thought he was.
Yep.
But then it inspired me to want to do those things, or at least dream or think that I could. And I don't know. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for that.
Yeah.
And second of all, whatever we get a chance to do, and these roads that we get to walk on, I sincerely mean it. Thank you, because you helped turn those roads to pavement for us so we could go down it. And if we can do even a little bit to other companies and other people that you gave us a chance to do that, I think that's important. So I want to say that first of all. So I really mean that. It's an honor.
Me too, man. Totally lit my fire. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I loved animals. Caught frogs and snakes and turtles as a kid, but then, watching you growing up, shooting all these big animals, holding all these records, and placing the record books, and just fueled my fire. And, being a small town South Dakota kid, just always was something that I wanted to aspire is to be like you, and to even just to get to sit here with, this really a living legend of the hunting industry. It means a lot. And so, what do you think of today's hunting industry and the way things have evolved and changed compared to when you kind of were our age and at your prime, so to speak? Not that you're not as good as you've ever been now, but
I ain't gonna go head to head with him now.
Be careful there.
But what do you see? What do you see in today's hunting industry, and how do you feel about the way things are moving? What do you think's good or bad? I mean, do you have a pulse on what you think is going on? I mean,
well, hunting's good.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good in this industry.
Right.
Same as there was good in Fred Bear's industry and our Young and Saxon Pope's industry way back when.
Right.
I think people tend to be too serious now.
Yeah.
They're more into what they look like after they've accomplished the hunt rather than enjoying the hunt and grinning over the animal.
Yeah, right.
The grin is internal. It's not like, here's what I did.
Right.
So I think if there's any negative now, it's people are too serious, maybe too into themselves,
Kind of look at me
rather
deal.
than trying to get back.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a chain. Art Young and Saxon Pope in the 1920s kicked this off, modern bow hunting. And Fred Bear went to a seminar with Art Young and got excited, and Bear Archery came into existence. And I started reading about Fred Bear when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it's a chain.
Yeah. Right.
And I just hope that the chain keeps going. Now it's you guys.
Right.
And you're the good part. All three of you, you do inspire the industry in a positive way. And when you're grinning over your animal, it's internal.
For sure.
And it exudes out to the young kids coming up. And I think that's important. But I think it's dangerous for some people to do stuff that the kids don't even think they can do because it looks too ominous and too lofty for them.
Right.
And
Yes.
you guys don't do that.
Right.
And so I'm proud to be sitting here with all three of you.
That's like, honestly, I can call home and tell my kids and my wife, like, dude, that right there made my whole trip, regardless of what happens. That seriously, I mean, it sounds stupid. I get almost choked up because dude, I looked at every article. I read every one.
I'm reliving moments of being at Buckskin Archery in Kennesaw, Georgia. I was telling Waddell last night, kind of the state of it when I first was getting into it. I mean, we'd hunt 5 or 6 days just to see a doe in Georgia. I'd get off work, I worked for Mercedes-Benz, I'd drive 45 minutes north to the nearest bow shop just to rent a tape of Dan Fitzgerald or just anything that was on video that I could bring it home. And it had to be back the next day, and I'd drive it back, and I'd spend all my free time at that. And then the posters would come in. I remember it was an AMO show, and I got to meet you, and I was just shaking in my shoes. I'm about to boot down both legs, and I take this poster that you had, and I remember it. I mean, it's just ingrained in my mind. Big bear you killed with the huge hand and paw out front, and it was the start of the aluminum Super Slam arrows. I had to have some of them, man.
Double X78, 24-13.
Yeah.
I had the son.
I didn't really care so much about the arrow. I wanted the bear.
Yeah.
I mean, I love animals. Seriously, I wanted that damn bear. Seriously.
We touched on it earlier, but just reading your stories, and I couldn't get enough. I was just like a sponge, just reading everything, and I was just like, I'm having so much fun hunting, trying to see a doe in Georgia, and here's Mr. Chuck Adams is all over the country shooting mule deer, and it's just like I'm learning everything. Like, you can do this, you can go out there, and it was just like opened up. I'm like, gosh, I'm gonna have a lifelong of just pure passion in anything archery, anything bow hunting, and getting to chase critters. So, again, like these guys said, I thank you so much for just being a platform to show all of us what is out there, because that was the social media back then. Pictures are so impressionable, and it's a cliche, pictures worth 1,000 words. It was for me. I mean, it just resonated with me. I just couldn't believe all the stuff that you had done, and completely Super Slam as us like.
And then all the big animals that he got, but then doing it with the bow, killing the biggest stuff in the world with the bow.
And one thing Chuck just said, I've never heard it said like you said it. If that smile isn't internal, that you did it to a degree selfishly for yourself over conquering an opportunity, because I mean, you're going against the odds to figure out how to trick a brown bear. You're going against the odds to try to figure out how to trick an eastern turkey, during the spring that you're trying to call in with a shotgun, much less with a bow and arrow. So that internal happiness comes out in a smile, and I think Chuck's right. That's the one thing I've seen in the industry that I think is dangerous, is we're afraid to show that excitement of an accomplishment. Like, I don't know if it's just that redneck thing, like I've been here, done this a bunch of times, big deal. I don't know. But that's the one thing I've never seen is a Chuck Adams picture where he's not, when he's got that animal, he's not smiling. And to me, when something looks fun, it looked dangerous. Yeah, that paw, but it looked fun because of what that internalness that's coming out through the smile. And I do get happy. I mean, we could leave right now. All four of us can run out there and go squirrel hunting. And the first somebody it was a 22 or a pellet rifle or a bow, towel, like, if every one of us don't high five, like, man, you got him. We got one. Let's go get another one. You're immediately smiling. That's what hunting does for me. And
me too.
And I've kind of come up saying lately, I said, to me, I don't think hunting makes anybody badass. I think it's just badass we have an opportunity to do it.
That's a good saying.
And so anyway, it's just amazing to be able to sit here like this and talk openly.
And we all smile when we don't get something too.
Yeah.
I mean, you laugh at yourself too.
Yes.
Yep.
And I don't see enough of that anymore in some circles.
Yeah, and people are looking for the end result. They feel like, no, I hunted 8 days and I didn't kill anything. And they're bummed out about it. But that's the meat and the potatoes. The cherry on top is the harvest. There's so much time spent in camp. Reading the trail cameras and everything that goes into it. I even take it back as far as spending time at the archery shop and talking to all the guys at the range and learning about all the new technologies. That right there is just a build up to the climactic of punch my tag on that animal.
The naps.
Yeah.
The naps.
Yeah,
Some of the
naps.
greatest things you can ever get in a hunting cap. Good nap.
Chuck said something to me, because I was blessed to get a chance to spend some time with Chuck, video and Chuck obviously editor of countless number of columns and magazines and stuff, but so he wrote about his adventures, like Saxon and Pope, like Fred Bear did, and but anyway, what I really loved about what happened was when we got to tell the story. So now I read about him, so obviously I could fact check him, and then I could check behind, like, what if he told me about it? Well, one is they matched up completely the same,
right.
And so what I found intriguing about Chuck's honesty in it is from, like, you ask about a sheep hunt. Well, one sheep hunt, like, oh, dude, now that was the most grueling, miserable, rain, this, and this. So you got that story. Then you'd have the next story, be like, yeah, well, that one, man, that actually came pretty easy. It was pretty fun. you know, I remember one story he told me about a sheep that y'all knew was a good one, and the wind was wrong on the mountainside. And Chuck's like, man, we sat around, read books, relaxed, campfires, you know, and just had a fun time. Obviously, if you're gonna smoke a cigar, that'd have been time to do it. Sit back and relax, get some good rest. Wind shift to the good. They go up the mountain, and like that day, they killed the sheep. So, was it hard? Was it easy? And what I found is sometimes where Chuck told me those things, I think the industry was afraid, or even our television personalities, some, not all, are afraid to say, well, this is exactly the way it happened. It was still fun. Because if you tell it exactly the way it happens, just like in Chuck's articles, as he tells us, some are going to be, I almost died. David the bear didn't get me, but the boat almost flipped over. Or I never thought I could, that mountain climb at that altitude, I ain't lying, we went 7 miles and I don't know if I could do it again, or that was insane. But then there's also those times where unbelievable, we got off, we wasn't there 10 minutes and the sheep we was looking for, or the elk, he bugled and he was done. I don't think there's nothing wrong with having a multitude of adventures. All of them are a certain way, and we don't have to contrive them and produce them to be always this glamour shot, or this epic, whatever that makes us look good for our male ego, or even our woman ego, if that's such thing. But I don't know. I just appreciate that you gave me the opportunity to see it through honesty, through integrity, through the passion you had for bow hunting. And I hope that we can do that. And I think in the industry, if we don't continue to do something similar to that, I just feel like it could be a decline. And if we not become students of the industry from the Chuck Adams and understand the history all the way back to Ishii, to Saxon Pope, to Fred Bear, and if you're not intrigued enough to learn that, and you want to be around the campfire, be at the ATA show, I'd rather you stay at home and figure out another profession. To me, that's just me personally, that's just my opinion. If you have not a passion about understanding about the industry, being a student of it, and want to better it and maybe sell license. So it's not just for the betterment of what we can shoot, it's for how does somebody else want to do something cool and enjoy some of the same campfires, some adventures. So
get more people involved and keep it going. Good life.
The media are changing all the time. You know, writing's what I do and still do. You guys are into TV, and who knows what's coming down the pipe. But hunting's unchanged.
Yeah.
It's unchanged.
It's the same, and the enthusiasm should be the same.
Yeah.
The reason for hunting should be the right reason, no matter who's portraying it.
Right.
And those are the people I've always respected in archery. They're the ones who portray it properly, and they're the ones that made our sport what it is today.
There's no doubt. Speaking of, I was going to ask you a question. Like, obviously, you're our Fred Bear. Obviously, we love Fred Bear, but what was it like when you first had a chance to hang out and talk, kind of high five with Fred Bear? I mean, how was that experience?
I actually went to Grayling, Michigan, and interviewed him for an article.
Really?
When I was in my mid-20s, and I was shaking in my shorts. Really? Oh, yeah. And I got to tell you, he made me feel like I was his son.
Really?
He was a great guy. He was just what he seemed to be on those films.
Right.
And at sports shows. And if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was terrific. And over the years, we got to know each other, and I had dinner with him, and it was great.
Did you ever get to go on a hunt?
I never got to go on a hunt. No. Yeah, he was in his later years then, and wasn't hunting too much.
Yeah.
Wow.
What an experience that was.
Yeah.
Now, from that, did you ever have a chance did Fred tell you about when he was, Saxon and Pope and Young?
He told me about Art Young and how he'd gone to a seminar in Detroit, Michigan, and he was working in the auto industry at the time. Mm-hmm. And he went to that seminar and he said, there's better things in life than working on an assembly line. I'm going to start making bows. And that's how Fred Bear started.
Wow. That is really cool.
Yeah.
See, I mean, that is.
And it's an overlap. It's a chain. It just goes like this, right down the line.
You're right. It's funny. I've had a lot of fun reading Pope and Young adventures, and I remember it kind of Ishii for them how they they got into this, and they seemed like, this was me judging and just a little bit of education I had, but Pope and Young seemed like they were very smart, kind of young adventurers, almost what would be almost considered hipsters today. That'd be maybe the term to describe them. That kind of like, dude, let's check out this archery thing, and got to hunting, and they met Ishii and just become infatuated with it. And so it's funny talking about that chain. It was from Ishii to Pope and Young to Fred to the Fred. I mean to the Chucks and stuff. And so you're right. I mean, one thing changed to the next to inspire.
Yeah,
somebody to try.
Ishii came out of the woods in the early 1900s.
Right.
And Saxton Pope was his doctor in San Francisco. And Ishii taught Pope how to shoot a bow.
So he was 100% a kind of a hipster, successful man who
he was a wealthy guy. He was a doctor, and he was into all kinds of things. He was into fast cars for that time.
So look,
and
could have been labeled as a city slicker almost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And his biggest goal was to shoot a deer with his bow, and it took him like 10 years to shoot a deer with a bow. And he had a big grin on his face. I've got a picture of that. And it was, it was a button buck.
Yeah.
And I got the picture,
No.
And you can tell he's not trying to impress anybody.
Yep.
He's just happy.
Yeah.
And that's Dr. Young.
Yeah. Saxton Pope.
I'm sorry, Saxton Pope. So you think about that, getting exactly what we started talking about. Here it is. Pope and Young, when you look at that club and you look at all of us, kind of go back, even Fred Bear, 10 years to kill a button buck, and he was smiling, didn't come into it trying to be an expert, but who was some of the founders of archery as we know it, modern day archery. There it is, proof that you don't have to be a macho
We all
man.
have to start that way.
You can be a slicker in San Francisco who just says, I want to find what this is about, and then you get passionate with it, you can sell it. And I think that's that simple.
We see a lot of it now. Social media is like, you see kids that don't want to shoot 3 or 4 pointers. That they're wanting to wait because of the impressions that's been made through social media. Guys that normally would have shot a small 8-point or whatever, they're almost embarrassed that they're going to get ridiculed on social media. And we don't need that. We don't want that. We want people to just enjoy the flight of the arrow
for what it is to them.
Yes.
For the passion.
Be proud of it. Look, I mean, they're withholding themselves happiness because they want nothing more than to shoot that 8-point. But because of social media, the perception of them going to get
Social
acceptance, they don't shoot it.
Yeah.
Whereas that's what holds them back. Whereas I'm like, hey, if it trips your trigger and you want to kill it,
let her rip.
Let it rip. Absolutely.
Again, that's the wrong reason to hunt. To go.
Yes.
I mean, I love big animals, and you guys love big
Yeah.
animals.
Oh, yeah.
But that is the cherry on top.
That is.
Yes.
It's a process.
Yeah.
And
We didn't
you
start
may
that way.
burn your tag,
Yep.
or you may do
Yeah.
what I did 3 years ago and shoot a little mule deer with horns like this,
Yeah.
and the meat was in the freezer, and I was happy.
Yeah,
good
it's
time.
enjoyable.
Smiling the same.
Smiling the same.
There's something
Absolutely.
about just seeing that arrow disappear in the
Yeah.
fur, and man, big or small, it's great. It makes you feel good. It's happy times, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's our
Nothing-
instinct,
nothing
and
better.
it has nothing to do with the size.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
I just love it.
And it pulls, and when you do it and you have that much fun, it pulls at everybody. It's funny, a name like Ted Nugent comes up. Ted and I sat down and talking. I know you spend a lot of time talking to Ted, but he says the same thing, and he's always had unbelievable things to say about you, like, Chuck Adams was an animal, man. He goes back in his relationship with Fred Bear, and still he said that's like out of all his songs, even Cat Scratch Fever and all, singing about Fred Bear. And so again, that passion, that smile, it inspired Ted. Like, there's more than just playing the guitar. I mean, this is cool to be playing at these big venues, but wondering what it's like to go chase down a deer with a bow and arrow. So I don't know, man. I just think it's one of the coolest cultures that we have a chance to represent, and I just hope people can understand that it is fun. In some cases, it's hard and treacherous. In a lot of cases, it's simple and easy. And you got good chili around camp, and sometimes you go out on the first morning and get it done and get the animal you've been dreaming of, and sometimes it takes 10 days and it might take 30 miles.
Sometimes you never get
Or
it.
it
Some
doesn't
fun
happen at all.
Yeah, it don't happen at all.
Spend a ton of money and time. I mean, how many big hunts did you go on where you had to spend a bunch of money to go on a hunt and you come back with nothing? And it's like, that's
I don't
part
even
of
want
it,
to think about it.
I know,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
I
crazy.
tell
But it
everybody,
was fun.
Heck yeah,
I
always
tell
have
everybody this physique was built on tag sandwiches.
fun.
You ain't lying. It was built on a dove stool,
Yeah.
a good dove
Yeah,
stool.
exactly.
Sturdy.
If Tbone
Good
can't
sturdy.
sell anything, he can sell a good quality dove stool. It's just a dang good one. Yeah.
Well,
I
man,
can sit and talk there.
we appreciate it. It's
Oh,
just a pleasure
nice
to get to
talking
sit
to you
with
guys.
you.
Same
Yeah,
here,
it's
Chuck.
awesome.
Thank you for inspiring
Thank you
us.
for everything,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Thank you
Absolutely.
guys. Thank you guys.
And I know you can sit there and get us in the headlock and still whoop us. But I can tell you, if you ever need to call and reprimand us, we will take it, and you will not hurt our feelings. We appreciate
You guys
it.
are doing a great job. You're
Oh,
carrying
thank
on
you.
the tradition. You really
Thank
are.
you. That
Thank
means
you
a
so
lot.
much.
Yeah, it means a lot.
It does.
Thanks.